Now, what did you want to point out?
I wanted to give a special shout out to J.E. Kyle, who said, I knew you were from Canada because you named your puppy Five Alive.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that somebody knows what that's from.
That is
it's like only the best fruit juice of our Canadian childhood.
Is it fruit juice or fruit drink?
I
I don't trust that it's a juice.
mean, I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
there's a lot of fruit in it and it's delicious. So either way, it's so good. Five Alive, delicious, love it.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about, a couple things. One thing I want to mention right off the bat, we have, you'll see a lower third coming up. We have a free puppy seminar that's happening at our training facility.
I'm excited about this. What?
What happened there?
I was drinking tea and then I was excited that you said that.
Oh, okay. That was weird. It's happening at our training facility on February the 1st. And we are excited about it.
It's gonna be great.
We used to do new puppy seminars every month, I think. Every second month before COVID.
Yeah.
This is the first one since
we
COVID.
haven't done it in forever. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's a night where you don't necessarily bring your you don't bring your puppy. It's for humans. No puppies. Only humans who either have a puppy under 16 weeks or maybe you don't have your puppy yet. You're going to be getting one. And we have an awesome information jam-packed hour and an opportunity where the instructors will do like a freestyle Q&A so that the topics actually just flow based on the people in the room and what they want to talk about. Then you'll get a chance to see the facility and all kinds of stuff. Completely free. And it's going to be great. So you can register online with a link. Hopefully you have the link for them. Or you can call the office and they can do it right over the phone with you.
Yeah, I see Spot the Bot. I think Dan sent Spot the Bot says mccandogs.link/puppy seminar.
Yeah.
So check it out, mccandogs.link/puppy seminar.
And this is for in person. It's this one I see people asking for online. We're not offering it for our online classes, but it's specifically for in person so that we can.
I mean, if you're planning a
have
trip,
some face-to-face time.
We're about an hour from Toronto, so if you're planning a trip to Toronto around the 1st, I mean, register, grab your seat at the conference or at the seminar, and join us.
Yeah.
But with that, with no further adu, let's talk a little bit about the 7 shortcuts that ruin puppy training for so many people. And we see this often. I made these mistakes as a new puppy owner before I was introduced to McCann Dogs. The first one that we talk about so much with new dog owners and puppy students is not putting in the effort to supervise your dog. I want to sort of change the way. You know what? We're gonna list a bunch of things here, and I see so many comments, and we get so many people reaching out saying like, oh, you know, I watched this video and then it's still not working. So I want everyone right now to go get a sheet of paper, get out your phone, and so you can take notes. Like grab a pen, piece of paper. We're gonna go through the 7 things. We're gonna talk a lot about strategy, high level stuff, and then I want you to come back. We're gonna give you a minute as we discuss a little bit about supervision. Maybe your phone's with you. You can start getting ready. Oh wait.
You weird.
No, we won't wait. No, Kale gets frustrated when I wait too long on the camera. Here's the thing. I'm going to assume that you're back because I know how fast you are. You're a new dog owner, and you need to be quick to zoom around the house and like interrupt the behaviors you don't like and interrupt the things that you don't want them to do. So now that you're back, you've got your notepad, you've got your pen, you've got your phone or whatever in front of you to take your notes.
Get to the point, honey.
I don't want you to take a single note unless you plan on doing something about it. We always talk about the idea that, oh, knowledge is power, knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power. So as we discuss tonight, these puppy ideas, puppy strategies, the mistakes you're making with your young dog in training, I want you to be intentional about, okay, I've locked this in, and now I'm going to do something about it. This first point is so important that I will tell you it is the main reason why so many nuisance behaviors happen. It is the main reason why people struggle for so long with the things that they don't like that their dog is doing. And it comes down to supervision. I want you to, instead of thinking like paying attention to your dog, invest attention to your dog because it doesn't cost you anything. This is an investment in your future with your dog. So really focus on the idea that if your puppy has the opportunity, they have freedom to make choices, I want you to be there watching them so that when they make the wrong choice, you can let them know. You know, you stop them or you guide them away or you show them what you want. When they make a great choice, this happens a lot. And actually, I have a quick little video I can pull up here. When they make a great choice, you're gonna capture that moment as well. You're gonna tell them.
You're not gonna miss it because you're busy doing something else.
It is so important. I can't stress this enough, especially if you're struggling with house training, chewing, barking. I mean, the list is long.
Yeah.
Go on. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many things that can be. It's the foundation of your training. You have to be, if you didn't see it, you can't fix it. So it is so crucial for you to be watching your puppy. And I'm going to show you, I have a little demonstration. I just pulled a video up. So if you were watching us a year, 2 years ago, I guess now with 5. If you're watching us 2 years ago with 5 alive, we published a video.
A lot of numbers in that sentence.
Yeah.
One was a dog's name, and the other one was reference of time.
But everyone now knows that it was a fruit drink.
That's right.
Yeah.
5 Alive.
So you would have seen us talk about why supervision is important, and we're going to talk in a moment about house training. But there are critical moments when you can give your dog good information, and unless you're supervising, you're not going to see them because I want you to understand how subtle some of these indications can be. So this is a video from when we had little 5, when we were at our house, and we'd set up a camera because we're working through house training, potty training, and I wanted to be able to show to you guys what does it look like. This is the first time 5 Alive indicated at all to go to the door, like any sort of indication. He hadn't had any accidents because Kale and I were really diligent about supervising him and eyes on him. But watch this. This moment is so brief. I'll pause it when this happens. So watch. I mean, Kale's doing stuff.
Our house is a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess. But we have cameras set up. It's like trying to make sure we capture everything. Now watch this. He's sniffing around. This moment right here. Do you see that? So I paused it. But he looks at the door for like a brief moment, and then he turns away.
And he turns to check back with me, actually.
That's right. Exactly. And Kale saw that. Kale captured that moment, and then she took him out. So let's fast forward, like I think it was a day. It might have been 2 days. It wasn't long after.
And when I saw that, I just sort of thought to myself, that was weird. Why would he look at the door for like that length of time? There was no noises or nothing else. And I thought, I wonder whether he has to go to the bathroom. And then just, obviously when you have a puppy and those things happen, it's always better to weigh on the side of caution. And I thought, regardless, I'm going to take him outside just in case.
Yeah.
And the moment I took him outside, he peed immediately. And I thought, okay, maybe that was a thing. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But like, that was cool. And then this happened.
Yeah. So this is the next time we captured something. I don't think I have audio from this. It's old video, but... So let's go to this next one. So this is the next thing. Watch this.
See, he's moving around. He's like, I don't really know what to do with myself.
Playing being a goofball. You're like, something's up. And look what he does.
See how I was like, you seem a little like disheveled right now.
Yeah, so that's so important because he didn't indicate to the door, but because Kale was supervising him, he knows he's not just being a goofball, which puppies will do, but because Kale had been supervising so closely, and because you could be supervising so closely, you're going to start to pick up on these things. And when you see your puppy bouncing around the door like this, checking in with you, you'll know, And it's funny, I think on the audio from the video, whatever video
I said, do you have to go outside? Do you have to go outside?
And as you're walking there, you're like, 5 just indicated to go outside.
Oh, yeah, I was excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's another thing as to why it's so important to supervise your dog. Because I was watching him so closely on a day-to-day, it was then easier for me to distinguish, is he just being a goofball and jumping around? Or does he have to go outside? And his movement, the way he was like, his head was down, he was sniffing, he seemed almost a bit panicky and frantic for a second. That was much different than his normal everyday demeanor. But I wouldn't have known that unless I have been supervising him so closely day after day after day. You can start to read the puppy's body language, which means you can communicate with him more easily. And when he starts to indicate even a small bit that he needs something or he's problem solving, I can either step in to say, whoa, that's not cool. Or in this situation, I'm like, ooh, he's got to go to the bathroom. And that just got the ball rolling. And he was one of the fastest puppies that we house trained because
100%.
he just, thought about going to the door, and we were able to jump on it quickly, and then it was a piece of cake after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't take shortcuts when it comes to supervision. You might be thinking to yourself, well, I have a life and a job and things to do. How on earth can I supervise a puppy 100% of the time? And the reality is you can't. So you need some kind of strategy to manage the time, manage the moments when you aren't able to observe your dog. Maybe you've got, to help the kids with their homework, or, prepare meals in the house, or maybe you've got another dog that needs special care or attention, or whatever the situation might be. You can't supervise 100% of the time. So that gap needs to be taken up by something.
Can I just pause for 1 second before we go on? I just want to preface by saying, if you watch that last clip and you think, well, my dog's house trained, so like that step didn't really apply to me. As we go through this list of things, we're going to be pulling examples for that particular topic. But with dog training, these examples are just one of many. So I want you to listen to what we're saying and think outside the box a little bit about how something like that house training example could maybe have been a different scenario in you and your dog's life that maybe you're missing. So we're trying to use these lessons to show you the bigger point. So for example, poor supervision, maybe there was a time when your dog was showing a bit of extra interest in chewing something in your household, but you just didn't really do much about it. And then before you know it, they've wrecked that thing. Well, you could have done something about it if you had recognized the behavior earlier through supervision. So again, as we go through the list, think about our our specific example. It might apply completely directly to you, but also think big picture as well, because a lot of these tips can be used in all kinds of scenarios with your dog, and also many different ages as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love that like big picture approach. And to be honest, that's why we do these train stations. Yeah. We publish videos every single week every single day now, that are straightforward tutorials that can help you to have a well-behaved dog. They're little snippets of information, or 8, 12, 15, 20 minutes of information that can help you solve a problem, accomplish a goal, solve a skill. But in our train station episodes, we're going to dive a little bit deeper. So to Kale's point, we're thinking higher level, and I know you're might be feeling a little overwhelmed or stressed by all that's happening and going on, but I really want you to think big picture as we have these conversations, because understanding the big picture is really going to help you make choices when you don't know exactly what the answer is. And that's why we have these conversations like tonight. Brings us to management. We need to talk.
Welcome to Beth Parks.
Oh, welcome, Beth Parks, new Heart Dog supporter. Thanks for joining us. Management. And when we talk about management, this can be a whole bunch of different things. It could be a crate. We know the value of a crate. It could be a house line. We believe very strongly in the use of a house line because we know that puppies are little and quick, and they need to be interrupted or stopped or saved in some cases from getting into trouble. And maybe you need to stop nipping and biting or jumping up. The house line is your do-it-all tool to allow you to get that kind of control.
But without having to grab and snatch and scare,
totally.
Or sometimes when people are trying to get a hold of their dog, if they've done something wrong, it can elevate the puppy and then you get more nipping. But that house line, it de-escalates the situation so that you can address things very calmly and with control, and that elevates your leadership as well.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I love the idea of leadership, and it's important. And we talk a lot about so management is basically controlling the situation, controlling the access to choices, and then the leadership component comes into the nurturing of the great choices. Yeah. I love that idea, and we really want to capitalize on that. We talk about, leadership can be like this sort of like not ambiguous, like a, complicated term that doesn't mean a lot unless you have actionable steps, but that's a part of leadership.
Yeah, or people go the other way. They go like the negative way. They like, oh, you have to be a leader and you have to
Totally.
dominate your dog and
Totally.
you have to do this. And like, yeah, sometimes you need to call the shots for sure. But what a lot of people don't realize is that you can show wonderful leadership and guidance to your dog by being clear and consistent in all the things we're going to list, but also about having more times in your day where you're rewarding those good choices, like Ken said. I often say to my students, if your day is made up of you saying, no, stop, hey, do that all day versus like, good choice, yes, reward. Oh my gosh, great choice, yes, reward. That's what you want to do. But how do you make that happen? You manage your dog. You manage your dog or your puppy better. Because often when we have, deeper conversations with our students about how to change the no day to a yes day, when we ask about management tools, they're usually doing 1, 2, 3, 10 things wrong in terms of their management. The dog has free range in the house. They have no crate time. They never have a leash on. There's all these things. It's like, well, no wonder the dog is like going absolutely mad in the house because they have very poor management. So management can literally turn things around in all aspects of your training, and that management elevates leadership, and it's just like a whole beautiful circle that comes around together for a perfect puppy moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw Michelle mention, like, I haven't done the house line because she would eat the leash. And this is where Kale's talking about this like sort of circular thinking when it comes to point number 1 was supervision. You go out of your way to supervise your puppy. Point number 2 is management, and a tool for that is the house line. Now, if your puppy or your dog in training, because remember, house line isn't just for puppies. We use house lines on like dogs in training that need it, or let them drag a leash if they're big enough in the house, because it allows you to get control quickly. So, because now you're going to be supervising your dog 100% of the time when they can make mistakes, if they start to chew on the line, you can interrupt that behavior. You can take it away from them or do whatever, you take it out of their mouth, you maybe get them to do something, sit, lie down, whatever. Once they've accomplished that, then they can get something they can chew on. So many people say like, oh, this isn't working, my dog just chews on it, and then they chew on it all the time.
And then they take it off.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, that's going to happen. I mean, you've just attached a toy to your dog's neck. So you need to give them the information like, hey, buddy, this isn't for chewing on. The interesting thing.
Can I say one thing too?
Yeah.
Is somebody asked me the other day, how many puppies have you trained, Kale, like yourself? And I counted them, and I got up to 20 puppies. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
But I will tell you that 99.999% of those 20 puppies all chewed on the house line when I got them. So, like, this isn't unique to your puppy. No. Almost all puppies, when you put a house line on, it's a new foreign thing. Just like when you put a collar on, they scratch at it for a little bit until we don't take the collar off, and they go, oh, it's part of my body. Cool. No problem. The house line is very similar. If you just have them wear it all of the time, you supervise them and you interrupt them for chewing and give them something else, just like Ken explained, they do get over it. But every dog's a bit curious about it. It's not a unique problem or a weird problem. But I just keep it on all the time, and usually within the first couple days of the first week, they just think it's like a long tail behind them, and they're just completely over it. So you've got to commit to it, but it's very normal. Our puppies do it too. It's just something that happens, but it's very easy to overcome.
Yeah. So things like, we're talking very specific training tools like crate. Puppy gates, like baby gates, house line. But management means like giving them access to things, only spaces where, you're confident you can supervise them. They can't sneak under the couch. Mm-hmm. They can't slip away and have an accident. They don't have access. If you're struggling with them chewing on shoes, like, you're not going to put your puppy in a situation, unless you're training it and working on it, but you're not going to put your puppy in a situation with shoes on the floor. Yeah. Because there's a chance they could get into them. Mm-hmm. So you're really working hard on being a good manager for your puppy. And we're going to talk a little bit later about another way to look at this, a bit of a tweak. But management is a key part of your training. It's going to allow your puppy to make better decisions. It's going to allow your puppy experience in your dog and training experience to be way, way better. There's also a bunch of I don't even want to get down this road, but there's a bunch of great leadership opportunities that you have when you're managing your puppy using something like a crate, that you're going to start to notice your dog naturally choosing you. I had a 2.5-year-old Labrador Retriever who was out of control. I started using a crate. with her. She hadn't used a crate before. And the first thing I noticed was that she started to check in with me, look to me for information, for engagement. It's because every time she came out of the crate, I was there. Every time, she would get access
doing
to
something with her, asking something, engaging,
Absolutely.
playing, rewarding, interacting. It's just such quality time that the dog starts to go, oh my gosh, who are you, human? This is like, you're just the most wonderful thing ever, versus the dog learning to seek enjoyment and a reward from everything else but you.
Yeah. I want to, so somebody mentioned, my poodle puppy is a genius for some things, but sometimes she's just not getting it. And this could be related to point number 3 of your 7 puppy training shortcuts is you're not being consistent. You're going out, you're being too inconsistent. You're not like investing the time to make sure.
It's easy to do as a human.
Oh, it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
But if you could choose only one thing to be good at throughout this process, be consistent, because you can fix the little
consistent. I felt like we were about to do a chant.
We need to get like those signs and like I need arm
Give me a
movements.
C.
Yay.
Am I doing a C for them?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, no, you're.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I think you were actually. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, I mean, look right here. This is what we're talking about.
I'm a C.
Being consistent is so crucial, because whether it is your consistency in the household, maybe family members have different rules for different things, that makes it difficult for your dog.
Oh, sure does.
I mean, let's talk a little bit about the challenges of being inconsistent with the young dog.
That's such a hard thing. We see that quite often, where you have one person who's like really invested and trying so hard to be consistent with the dog, and then you have other family members that just either don't care as much or don't want to change their ways or don't really understand the importance. And then what happens is the dog takes 3 steps forward and then 2 steps back, and it can be very difficult. Or sometimes what happens is the dog will learn to connect or listen to the person who's being consistent, and then their relationship with the other people who are a bit wishy-washy or inconsistent starts to diminish a little bit, and that dog starts to go, you're confusing, or you stress me out, or you're just a playmate, but that's the big boss over there and I love them. That's the person I want to be with. So it can sometimes kind of divide the relationships as well. So we always like kind of joke, even though we're not joking, about like when you get a puppy, sit down as a family and like talk about what your expectations are going to be, like how do you want the dog to behave in this scenario, and what are your goals? Is everybody on board with having a reliable recall? Is everybody on board with all of these things, so that everybody can be consistent? It's not just about using the same commands and the same hand signals. It's much, much deeper than that. It's about expectation and consistency, all of the things that we are listing. But everybody being on board will help the process of the dog training and understanding to go way faster. And also, it's so much less stressful for your dog, which to me is the most important thing. We want to make training fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and here's the shortcut angle of it is like it's work. It's work to be consistent.
So much work.
It might mean that you're going out with them every time they go outside. Instead of opening the back door, you're going out with them so they can do their business and you're there with them. You are making sure that the whole family's on board. You're insisting that your spouse is, you're like, listen, I understand that you want to be able to wrestle or whatever with the dog, but right now we need to focus on good behavior and not nipping and biting and not jumping up on anyone, because when Nana comes over, the last thing we want is for her to get clobbered by our Bernese monster, tackling her down. So it's going to take some effort. But it's worth it. It's so worth it for both you and the dog. Just
it's not a forever thing. It's just while your dog's in training.
Exactly. And I think that's what I think a lot of people are concerned about that. A lot of the information that we give to you now at this point with your young dog in training or your new puppy is, it sounds like it's a lot of effort and it's a lot of, intentional steps, and it's going to take a lot of time. But let me tell you, that investment is so worth it, because in 3 months, when you don't have a house training problem, and you don't have a dog that jumps up, or, in 6 months when you can go on walks with your dog and it's exactly what you imagined it would be, this relationship. Your dog listens when you're outside. You're not being dragged down the street. They're not lunging at the end of the leash, barking at every dog that passes, because you made good choices when it came to socialization. This kind of stuff is so important up front, and it's totally worth it. Now, tonight's your opportunity to hang out with us on a live stream and sort of answer broad questions. But if you have more specific questions about your puppy and your puppy training, we do have our Puppy Essentials program that you can communicate with a professional dog trainer 6 days a week. And we can answer the questions specifically for you about nipping and biting, leadership, management, socialization, all those things. Talk a little bit about the program.
Yeah, I saw a few people asking, do you have, locations in the States and whatnot. So we have one location here in Canada, but our programs that we run in person, we also have online. And, it took us a long time to come out with online classes because it was so important that we could replicate the quality of instruction that we have in person to have that online so that our students could experience, really, really good support from the instructors so that we can help individualize things. Because after, this is my family's business. So we just celebrated our 41st or 42nd anniversary. After all of these years of doing this, we know that there isn't one way to train a puppy. And that, from all of the students and all the dogs, we've learned how to tweak things depending on the scenario. And so those are the types of things that we're able to help you with once you get into the program and we have a chance to build a relationship with you and we know your puppy. Then, when Frank and Fifi say, hey, my dog's not walking really well, I can say, okay, I don't know why I went with that. This is what we need to do for her because I know that she needs a bit more motivation. I know she needs this. So we can individualize those things as well. We also have weekly coaching calls there. Everybody gets together. You have a chance to have face-to-face interaction with the instructors. And also you can interact with all of our instructors. You don't just use one instructor. We have a whole team of instructors that have different experiences with different breeds. Our online team, if you collectively put their years of experience together, it's into the hundreds. It's amazing.
Here's a little sneak peek. You'll see Instructor Robbie in the chat answering questions, and people are just like over the moon excited about her answering their questions.
You don't even know what you guys are getting with her.
Yeah, she's an online training superstar, so you'll get to work with people like
she was Ken's my
very first instructor. I actually have video from that. I was one of our staff members in the in Studio 905. I was showing him my very first puppy day, like my very first training day.
Today, actually.
Yeah, it's such a cool video. But Instructor Robbie was my head instructor.
Yeah. And if you're just looking at the links, just keep in mind our Puppy Essentials program is for puppies under 5 months. And then if you have a puppy that's over 5 months, you would be looking at our life skills program. So they're both great. They both just deal with slightly different things based on your puppy's age.
One of the challenges I think a lot of people have when it comes to they watch a YouTube video, one of our videos about training, and they're like, oh, it's not quite working for my dog. Or, we have a million videos on tons of different skills, but they're like, it's not quite working for me. And this might come down to one of the shortcuts that you've taken. And this is definitely the most common shortcut for leash walking training is unrealistic expectations. You haven't put in the work, the foundational work to get to the point where you're ready to do leash walking training. But the shortcut that so many people take are their step skippers. We talked about that earlier. You need to be intentional about teaching your dog how to follow food, work on luring, because some dogs just naturally aren't good at it. But you also want to let your dog know that, even in a little bit more challenging scenario, if you work just a little bit, you can be rewarded. So unrealistic expectations or improper expectations is one of the things that will set so many people back. And I want you to be really honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what training have I done to get me to this point with my dog? Do they have a foundational understanding of what I expect of them? What other situations do you see people who are, come in for maybe private lessons or, in the middle of a life skills 1 that they're they've skipped steps and now their expectations are unrealistic? Yeah.
I see it with their recalls. Lots of people have their dogs off leash in really high distracting environments where I don't even know the dog, but I know it would never come when it was called.
Right.
And they're letting their dog be in that scenario and they wonder why when they say come, the dog doesn't listen. It's because they've overfaced the dog and not actually taken the time to learn. I see it in greeting manners all of the time. So, the dog is being, jumping all over everybody and they've never actually, and the person's just yelling at the dog to get off, but they've never trained the dog what off means. They've never trained the dog to do what it is instead. And then what happens is the person gets gets elevated because they're frustrated. The dog gets more higher-minded because they're feeding off of each other. And all of this could have been prevented if we had approached the situation with some more training and, teaching things in steps. But a lot of times we put our dogs in scenarios where it's like people, sometimes I wonder, I think that, like, do they think dogs just come born knowing their name, knowing a recall, knowing how to walk on a loose leash? Because sometimes people handle their dog in a way that they just think that they know those things. And unfortunately, it's our dog's behavior is, I don't even know if I want to say this, I don't want to upset anybody, but our dog's behavior is a direct reflection of our teaching of them. If you have a dog that's not listening, it's on you. And it could be that you just don't know what you're doing. Yeah. But, there are no people say, well, my dog's stubborn or my dog's stupid or all these things. That makes me so sad because all dogs are capable of learning. You just have to figure out the right way to motivate them and how to teach them in a way that they can be successful. We want to try not to put them in scenarios where it's really easy for them to make a poor choice simply because they don't know any better and they're just being dogs.
Yeah.
So that's just something to keep in mind. That's up to us to fix and to change. Something else I wanted to mention before on one of the other topics is somebody had asked, what do you guys, how many dogs do you guys have and when are you going to get another dog? And that question made me think about what you had said about it's a lot of work when you get a dog and do their training. And that's one of the reasons why we space out our dogs so much. Like, I know when we're about to get a puppy, my life for the next 6 or 7 months is going to be insane.
It is.
The amount of time that you're putting into those dogs. Like, now our youngest dog is 2 years old, and now our oldest dog is 16, and she now is more work than having a puppy because she's old and all of the old dog things. But it's nice when they get to a point where I'm like, all of that hard work I did in his first year of life, I just can coast along and enjoy, developing him in other ways. But like, the basics are done, they're there. So it's not a forever thing. If you can really work hard in the first little bit, you just get to relax and reap the benefits of your wonderful training. Okay. But there's no plans for dogs anytime soon for us.
Kale, I love, speaking of segues, I love where you took that part of the conversation. And I want you at home to think that...
Oh, thank you.
It was really great. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree long ago. This exact same thing comes down to...
That was beautiful.
Thanks. The exact same thing comes down to you setting aside the time to ensure success in your training. Mm-hmm. So the effort that you put in at this point is what's going to pay out over the many years. But one of the shortcuts people take is that, we've talked about a lot of like this management and supervision and things, but making sure that your dog can be successful is going to be a critical step for you. But it's going to take a little bit of work. So many people will say like, oh, it's so busy around my house and I can't step outside the door without my dog pulling. Well, maybe that means you're going to work your butt off in the hallway. And maybe that means you're going to put your dog in your car and you're going to drive to some park somewhere where you have space so that your dog can be successful. Just because the park is a block away doesn't mean you have to go to that park. Mm-hmm. You go jump in your car, you figure out some way, maybe you work in the backyard for a little bit longer. But being intentional about your dog being successful and not struggling too much, like we'll introduce challenges. That's a critical part of using the McCann method as we introduce some of these more complicated behaviors. We introduce distraction, distance, duration to these exercises. But right now, as you're working on something, if it's a problem, you need to be intentional about making sure that your dog can be successful. You mentioned briefly, we're trying to teach our dogs to live in a very human world. And, a dog doesn't naturally want to walk in at your side where there's all sorts of craziness and chaos going around as you walk down the street. We have to show them why it's valuable to be there. So it's really important, that you think about those things. What's the outcome that I want? And what am I going to do to make sure that my dog can be successful here? Rather than let's see what happens. We've been working on this thing. I don't really know how this is going to go. Let's go out there and see what happens. Mm-hmm. It's worth the extra effort. It really is. honestly, for you as being invested in your dog's training and working through some of these things, it's going to feel better because you're going to be more successful. And you're like, oh, wow, I will never forget. Robbie was my head instructor in Life Skills 1, used to be called Grade 1. And as I was working on leash walking training, I came in the beginning of one of the classes, and Robbie said, like, oh, Ken, do you mind just going to the other side of the room? We had like an unbalanced number of students, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then I said, I don't even know where I'm sitting. I was just like talking to her, kind of trying to be goofy and silly. And Deegan was in at my side. I'd been struggling in the first couple of weeks. Deegan was in at my side, checking in with me. And as I walked across the room, talking to Robbie, Deegan was right at my side, like perfect leash walking. And she said, do you see what voice can do? Do you see what your voice can do to maintain some of that attention as you walked across? And I'm like, holy crap, I get it. Like, I get it. I guys are generally a little tougher to like draw them out and to engage with their dog. But, being intentional about choosing the moments and really going out of my way, breaking out of my shell a little bit to help Deegan to be successful is what I had to do to make sure she's more likely to make good choices. You're gonna recognize these moments as you're training your dog, and it's gonna change your training.
Totally.
Very exciting.
I like Kev's windsurfing adventures comment. Educating humans about how to act around my puppy is the most difficult thing. People think dogs don't listen, but humans are worse. Couldn't agree more, Kevin. It can be very, very challenging, and that sort of makes me think about the next thing, Ken, not taking advantage of natural training opportunities. Because I think sometimes some of the best times to train your dog is when you're, out doing the things you're going to do anyways, and, a person walks up and all of a sudden they say, hey, can I pet your dog or can I visit your dog? And sometimes people forget about dog training in those situations, and they're like, sure, and then the dog pulls and jumps all over them. But what a dog training brain would do is say, perfect. There's someone that wants to say hello to my dog. I have a chance to work a bit of control. I could say, sure, no problem. Give me 2 seconds. And I could get my dog into my side. I could work some greeting manners exercises, all of the things that we do. But that's just such a wonderful opportunity to take something that just pops up out of nowhere, and then you have an opportunity to work through that. Because sometimes what happens with dogs is they're so situational and so brilliant that we set out with our bait bag and our treats and our leash and all those things, and we do our training and the dog nails it, and then 2 hours later something pops up and we think because we're not in training mode that people have different expectations, or they just sort of let the dog run amok. Training happens all of the time. It shouldn't be, of course you can have designated times in the day where you're, trying to build skills or do trick training or something like that. But the everyday interaction with your dog needs to happen all of the time, and you should constantly be looking and using natural training opportunities to create wins for you and your dog, whether that's getting them in and out of their crate with manners and respect and calmness, whether that's going outside for a pee and having an opportunity to respond to their name a couple times, or do some look at me's while there's people walking past the end of their driveway, or a little recall or something like that, or maybe they have to hold a sit and a stay while you open the door to pick up your Amazon box, or whatever the situation is. There are literally hundreds of little moments during the day that you can work in a little training exercise that doesn't take any extra time and allows you to teach your dog how to interact all of the time throughout the day, so that it's not just you listen when we're training and then you can forget everything all the other times. Training should be worked into your everyday situations on all those natural training opportunities.
So opportunities don't come with their value stamped on them. It is really the important takeaway here. When we're talking about natural training opportunities, they are... So, can you go over, let's talk about a day in the life of Kale as a puppy owner, from, first thing in the morning till noon. What kind of natural training opportunities are you taking advantage of? Because I think anybody who's not a dog trainer can start doing these tomorrow from the morning on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, busy person, work a lot. So when we get up in the morning, I let my puppy sleep in a crate right beside my bed, for sure, so that we have that nice little bonding time. We work on, sometimes some mornings we'll work on house training. So instead of the puppy going outside, I'll put the puppy down down by the door and see if I can look for some of those signs you saw in the video of Five Alive earlier. It's one of the ways that I did it. That's one thing to do. I would work on manners going in and outside the door with some treats and a leash. Coming back inside when I'm a big tea drinker. When I'm waiting for my tea to steep, I might practice. What's that? I might practice having my puppy like lie and wait on a bed. We did a ton of on your bed training with Five when he was a puppy. I worked it in the morning. Anytime I was in the kitchen, I was like kind of always doing something with Five, whether he was, chewing on a bone or practicing on his bed or whatever, which made dinner time easy because he would start to figure out, I would literally open the stove door and he learned over repetition and time to run and lie on his bed. That was his cue, because every single time one of us would open the oven, the other one would be having him lie on his bed to keep him safe, and he paired that together. So again, it's just thinking about how to integrate your training in. And then of course I would take some time to make sure that he was exercised and I've maybe done a few of his tricks or something like that. And then he would go in his crate and I would go to work or whatever the situation would be until I, was ready to spend 5 or 10 minutes or 15 minutes with him again. And then I would interact with him, do some things. I'd put him back in the crate and I'd go back to what I needed to do. And that would happen all day long with different periods of time of interacting with him. And sometimes he'd be in his crate for a lot longer than that if I was, busy for a longer period of time. But it was very highly concentrated interactions so that I could teach him the way of the world. And then now he just kind of knows what he's supposed to do in every scenario, and I don't have to be as intense about it because he just knows what to do.
As we should have captured more of that conditioning that we did when we opened the oven with Five.
Yeah.
Like, it's really an amazing thing when we're at home, because now we open the oven and he goes and lies on his bed.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have done step by step in hindsight, but at the time we were just being dog trainers.
Yeah.
We were just doing.
Or we were just trying to make sure he didn't go in the oven.
Yeah, absolutely. But like so we were supervising well, managing him right, being really consistent about what our expectations were.
Yeah.
But we had the right expectations at the beginning. We knew that, okay, he's going to go in the oven unless we can.
And it goes back to like setting up for success. Like, instead of like letting him get near and having to say, get away from that and yell at him, I went, puppy's like food. He's probably likely to be interested in, going near where food is. So we got ahead of it and said, in this situation, this is what we would like you to do. So we'd show him the way rather than let him do a natural puppy thing that's not so good and then yell at him for it. That's not how we want to dog train. We want to show the dog.
And we're live again. Wow. So
annoying. Sorry, guys.
The challenge of being in the train station is that once in a while, a big train rolls through, and I'll tell you what happened. So Sam Crenshaw, employee of the month, last 12 months in a row, was I said, Sam, can you go out? I think we're getting a little bit of internet interruptions. Can you go outside and knock some snow off of the satellite dish? Well, Sam goes out there and he threw his hat up on the satellite dish. But unfortunately, it didn't knock any of the snow off. His hat just blocked the satellite dish. I might have video of Sam. Anyway, so Sam comes back in and he says, my hat's on the satellite dish. I'm going to go throw a snowball at it. So he goes up and throws a snowball at his hat. It hits the hat, knocks the dish off. Now we don't have a dish. So Sam's out there. We're gonna make sure we talk about the seventh thing tonight, but Sam's out there holding it. So like, nice job, buddy.
There is nothing I hate more than when Ken does this.
What's that?
You just go on and on about stories that are just so silly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Silly willy stories. Where is our...
Employee of the month.
There we go.
12 months in a row.
You are, or Sam is?
Sam is, not me. Oh my goodness.
I know you are.
I could never be that amazing.
You can't pick yourself to be employee of the month also. That doesn't make sense.
Right, that's right. Exactly. That's a good point.
Okay.
So here's sort of bringing us back around. We're talking a little bit about taking advantage of some of these natural training opportunities. I think it's so important that you consider yourself an optimist, especially if you're struggling with something, because A pessimist is going to see the difficulty in every opportunity, but an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. So really think to yourself, oh boy, I'm having a challenge. What's the opportunity to train through here? What's the thing that I can fix? What's the skill that I can work on? What do I need to teach my dog that's going to make them, better? That's going to make our relationship better. That's going to stop this challenge that I've got. That's really what I want you to consider when you run into some of these challenges. Mm-hmm. We've said this a million times here on the channel, but if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. One of the biggest shortcuts that a lot of people take is that they don't consider having some sort of game plan for their training. It is so crucial to have some sense of where you're going. So it allows you to make better choices, whether it's house training or jumping up or skills or, fetch maybe. Whatever the thing is, have some kind of plan in place. The key is not to prioritize your schedule, but it's about to schedule your priorities. Mm-hmm. So knowing that house training is a problem, you're going to intentionally work on some of those things. Knowing that you have a busy household and you've got to stop the dog from jumping on the kids, mm-hmm. you're going to schedule training that into your training sessions mm-hmm. when you're investing time with your dog. We talk a lot about schedules and planning in our online programs. That's a huge part of working through some of these challenges with these new dog owners. But is there a schedule that you can think of when you bring a new dog home? Something that right away you're like, oh, okay, this is one of the first things I need to get sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, life is always easier when the puppy has a sense of how to respond to their name or how to respond to even a sound. Sometimes what we'll do with puppies is before we actually do any formal recall training, we'll use a nickname or we'll use an enticing sound, something that allows us to be playful and to get the puppy interested in running over to us. But we also spend a lot of time doing those types of training exercises, exercises with our puppy, because we know it makes the day-to-day interaction or control of them easier. So again, one of my favorite exercises that we do with puppies is the hallway recall game. So Ken will go to one end of the hallway, I'll go to the other end of the hallway, and we'll have a handful of the puppies' breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatever, and we will just practice aiming the puppy at one another, calling the puppy down the hallway. We shut all the doors. The puppy can't do anything else but run to the other person. We jackpot reward when the puppy gets to us, and then we spin them around and hold them facing at the other person, and we just call the puppy back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and the puppies think that this is the greatest game ever. It tires them out. It builds so much value for their name or here or pup or whatever you're using in that moment of time. But I find that that's something that I know I spend a lot of time on really early, because it helps pee breaks. It helps getting them away from something that they're about to chew or whatever it might be. So I would put a lot of value in that one personally.
For sure. I think we should mention again, just in case, some people may have joined us late, but our new puppy seminar.
Yes, so something we mentioned earlier, we're very excited about. We are actually offering a in-person puppy training seminar for dog owners, for puppy owners, new puppy owners, or people who have puppies under the age of 16. Those are the topics we're going to be focusing on. Or maybe you don't even have your puppy yet. And you want to learn a bit more. So we're actually hosting it at McCann Dog Trainers in Flamborough. And it is free, totally free, which is super exciting.
Very exciting.
So we're going to spend an hour. We have some content that we're going to share with you. We're going to do some freestyle Q&A so that the conversations can go in the directions of the people that are attending. There is pre-registration though, so you can either contact the office and get your name down. Family members are welcome to come, of course, or we'll share a link in the chat. You can also register for it online. We'll show you the facility, get you excited about your puppy training, and of course answer a bunch of questions. So if you're available, it's next Thursday night at 6:45 p.m. February 1st. Again, a free seminar. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, it's the first one since COVID, really. We used to do
years. We haven't done it in years.
Many years. So
yeah, we're excited to offer them.
Yeah, they're always fun. It's always a good time. It's always fun to chat with you, about your puppy training struggles. No different than chatting with you here in the train station. I want you to keep in mind the 7 puppy training shortcuts that will ruin your training. Poor supervision, not being intentional about supervising. Poor management, not thinking about, what choices can my puppy make and how can I limit the opportunity for them to make mistakes. It's all about management. Being inconsistent. This is, if you're going to choose one thing that you're going to be good at in your training, be consistent. Mm-hmm. So whether it is throughout your family or the expectations you have of your dog in training, make sure they're consistent. Improper expectations. It's not about the age, it's about the stage of learning. So know that you need to have established some kind of foundational training, some kind of foundational understanding before you can take it to the next step. This comes to walking on, all of your skills. This is especially important for walking on leash. Mm-hmm. If your dog can't sit in control in a busy environment, there's no chance you're going to do it when you're moving. So you need to work on some of these things and really have appropriate expectations of your dog. Not spending enough time setting up success is a shortcut that a lot of people take, and I get it because it's work. And, it's so important that you do put out this extra effort, work a little bit harder, at least until you have these problems solved. This isn't forever. Mm-hmm. It's just for right now while you're working on some of these challenges. Mm-hmm. So many people aren't taking advantage of natural training opportunities. This is where your skills in your formal training, all of your stuff that you're working on, transitioned into everyday life, where your weight starts to work with feeding your puppy, where, the opportunity to work on a response to name can happen in the hallway. There's all kinds of natural training opportunities, we mentioned a few earlier, that you should be taking advantage of if you really want to streamline and speed up your training and make training more fun for your dog. Super important. Developing a plan and a schedule. Remember, the key is to prioritize, not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Mm-hmm. We talked about this, especially with something like house training, especially with these skills you really need, you want to get through quickly so that your dog doesn't get frustrated, so that you don't get frustrated, so that the whole process is so much better. And a quick reminder, huge thank you to all the members that joined us in tonight's show. Thanks to Sam for holding up the cold satellite dish. We appreciate it. It's too bad he ruined the earlier part of the show, but it's fine. It's fine. He'll probably get Employee of the Month. I'm just saying. Did you have anything else that you thought would be gripping, interesting to add?
No, I don't think so.
Join us for online training. If you go to mccandogs.link/puppy training, you can join us online. And if you want to join us for our in-person, if you're local, you can join us for our in-person free training seminar, mccandogs.link/puppy seminar. If you are the kind of person who puts music on for their dog, you're going to get an opportunity at the end of this show to skip over to the McCann music playlist on YouTube. We have a channel. It's all about music for your dog. We designed it with music content creators. It's specifically made to relax your dog when you're not there, or when you need some downtime. You're working on crate training. We have a bunch of videos set up for just that thing. But maybe more importantly, with all of the teaching, all of the training, all of the things we've talked about tonight, the rest, my friends, well, that is up to you.